Hi, it's Mike Thornton here from Pro Tools Expert, and today I'm going to take a look at the latest version of the Exponential Audio R2 Reverb plugin. So here I've got a music session, we've got some drum tracks, and then I've got piano, and then I've got a string section. In fact, I've got two passes of a string section with MS pairs, some other orchestral instruments, and finally the vocal track. So if we just flip over to the mix window for this project, and let's take a look first at the drums. So if we just solo that, so we just have a play. So here's our drums, and so if I just mute the reverb for a moment, so that's our dry drums. And we'll put the reverb back in. At the moment I've got a sort of short open plate, but we can go in and select different keywords. So at the moment, because I'm dealing with drums, I'm using the keyword percussion, and then we've got a range of presets that I can go through. So there's 3 pages of presets there that all relate to percussion and drums. So we could try an 81 plate. And then we've got these EQ for the reverb tail, so we could just reduce the high frequencies, or we could go into the low frequencies and just open those out, or just filter off the low frequencies, but only on the reverb tail, because we've got separate EQ for the early reflections. We've got a width control, so we can make the reverb return wider or normal. We've got a range of different settings here. We've got settings for the reverb tail, for the attack, for the early reflections, all separate, so we can actually push out the early reflections separately. And then because this is R2, we've also got a chorus effect and a gating effect as well, all of which contributes to the character that the R2 Reverb plugin has. So let's go back to our reverb tail, and let's take a look at a couple of other presets. So you can see there's a really good range of different presets. So we go over here, sort of gated teal room. And you can see here that there is no reverb time, it's purely early reflections, and they're quite small because obviously it's a small room, but we could increase and have some reverb. So we've got a range of different options there, great loads and loads of presets. And in fact, Michael's getting various people to write presets for him as well. So lots of different presets to choose from. So that's looking at it with drums. So now let's take a look at the strings. So what I've got here is I've got my strings tracks all routed through to one bus, and I've actually got a reverb in line. So let's just solo up the strings, so that group and that group, 2 passes of strings. So because I've got it in line, I'm just using the mix control. So that's the original strings recorded in a space with some colour, some interest, but really just to be able to add some reverb just opens the room out, gives it a bit more space, and certainly in context just pushes the strings back, especially with the vocal. So that's really great. So this is the deep ocean hall, because I used the keyword large hall and then looked at a range of different presets. So we could go to vintage hall, and one of the things I really love to do is just hit the stop and just hear the reverb just decay away. I just love it. Brilliant sound. Brilliant, brilliant sound. So again, we've got different range of presets. We could go to Timpani Hall. And again, I could just tweak the EQ. And maybe take some of the low end off. So it's not booming through the reverbs. Very nice. So that's an indication of the sorts of things you can do with strings. Really just helps to warm the sound and just set them in context. But what about vocals? So let's just unsolo those. And we'll solo the vocal. And then I've got one final instance of R2 here. And one of the other things that I just sort of spotted is this little plus button here. If I click on that, oh, we get a nice big version. So really start to see what's going on and access the different parameters. So again, because it's vocals, I've used the vocal keyword. And then there's again a number of pages of different reverbs that really work for vocals. So we could go for a medium fat chamber, or we could go for something a bit bigger. Okay, so let's just put that back to normal size, and let's have a listen to all that in context. So there we go. I hope that's given you an indication of some of the things that the Exponential Audio R2 Reverb can do with music production. Now I want to flip over sessions and show you how it can work in a post context. So here we are in a very basic session. It's just got one track and it's Russ from an earlier podcast. So it's just a bit of speech, but it shows how we can set the dialogue for any type of documentary or drama into a range of different environments. So
Soho in London,
there's the dry speech.
The sort of second film centre of the UK.
So here we've got Studio D. So we could go into a hallway.
In the whole district of London, we have over 400 post-production facilities in 4 streets. And most of them are in
different bedrooms
that are higgledy-piggledy. They've got all sorts of walls in the way. And often their suites are over 4 or 5 different floors, different levels on the buildings. So obviously
doesn't need much, but it just makes all the difference. From dry
and investing in massive infrastructure. So if it's a case of just putting some Cat 5 through the building, then
we could have a look at office.
Soho in London, for those of you that don't know, is the sort of second film centre of the UK. We've got Pinewood and Shepperton.
Again, and very subtle, but just what we need just to set some dialogue in an environment. These side alleys
that are higgledy-piggledy. They've got all sorts of walls in the way.
These alleyways
over 4 or 5 different floors, different levels on the buildings. So
again, just all the slapbacks from different walls,
drilling through huge walls and investing in massive infrastructure. So
bring the pre-delay down a bit, maybe
through the building. Then I think this is genius. Soho in London, for those of you that don't know, is the sort of second film centre of the UK. We've got Pinewood and Shepperton, and then in the middle of
London,
we've
got this little red car. So we need to put dialogue into a car environment.
that are higgledy-piggledy.
Great. You can see there's no reverb, there's no pre-delay. This is all just setting up early reflections to get the sound just right for setting it in a car.
Huge walls and investing in massive infrastructure. So if it's a case of just putting some Cat 5 through the building, then I think this is genius. Soho in London, for those of you that don't know, is the sort of second film centre of the UK.
We've just got different presets, side yard,
in the middle of London, in an old
different studio settings.
We have over 400 post-production facilities in 4 streets.
We have this live display here.
Buildings that are higgledy-piggledy. They've got
you can see the spectrum analysis of
4 or 5 different floors, different
the audio we're putting through it.
Obviously they're renting these buildings, so they don't want to be drilling through huge walls and investing in massive infrastructure. So if it's a case of just putting
recital space,
building, then I think this is genius. Soho in London, for those of you that
room.
don't know, is the sort of second film centre of the UK. We've got Pinewood and Shepperton, and then in the middle of London, in an old district of London, we have over 400 post-production
underground bunker,
4 streets, and most of them are in buildings that are higgledy-piggledy. They've got all sorts of walls in the way.
Scary cellar.
4 or 5 different floors, different levels on the buildings. So they're renting these buildings, so they don't want to.
And again, we've got all the options to tweak if we need to. The different reverb attack, the reverb tail, the early reflections, all available for us to tweak as we need.
No, it's the sort of second film centre of the UK. We've got Pinewood and Shepperton, and then
so a really, really useful tool for both post-production and for music production. And I don't know why we've never done this yet, but having revisited it, I just can't help but give the Exponential Audio R2 Reverb plugin editor's choice. I'll see you again soon.